Hi, class. I wanted to get in touch with you and go over the assignment for the informative speech. I know that you have a PowerPoint that is available through the link files. However, I wanted to reinforce what the assignment is about by giving you an oral description or a verbal description of what it's supposed to look like. Please remember that there are 9 requirements for what your presentation is supposed to be like. When you begin your presentation, you cannot say the topic of my speech. You have to begin with other than. You have to have an introduction to what the subject is that you're going to be covering. If you say the topic of my speech, then that's going to cost you minus 5 points from the grade. Also, you cannot say that's it in the end. If by the time you finish your presentation, when you're ending the last statement or at the very end, you say that's it, then you're going to lose 5 points. You're supposed to have a conclusion or an idea that provides closure so that the audience knows that you're done without saying that's it in the end. You have to comply with the other 7 requirements. One of them is speak for 5 to 7 minutes. You cannot speak, or you're not supposed to speak for less than 5 or more than 10. I will be taking minus 5 points for each 30 seconds that you stay under or over the time. So that if your presentation is 4:59, then I will take minus 5. If your presentation is 7:01, then I will take minus 5. Please make sure that you understand that timing is so essential so that you cannot just do a presentation where you're just talking and talking and talking and talking. You know that in the real world, as we often like to say, people are not going to be nice. They're going to get up and walk away. So you have to be effective and efficient in the way that you speak. It has to be concise. It has to be between 5 and 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes is an eternity, and giving you 2 minutes leeway is actually a very generous way to let you get through the presentation. You have to provide 2 visual aids or show 2 visual aids, and that means that you bring 2 objects at any one point in time during your presentation to show what you're talking about. If you only show 1, then I will take off minus 5 points. If you do not have any visual aids, then I will take minus 10. I know that we have not covered the chapter on visual aids, or I have not given you a description of what to expect with visual aids, but it is enough to say that you're required to have 2 items that you provide during your presentation that complies with the requirement of having 2 visual aids. Use your imagination and bring items that you prefabricated before the actual presentation so that all you have to do is just bring it from the side or pick it up and you show it, and there it is. 2 visual aids. You have to quote 3 sources, and that means that you verbally and orally have to say that where you got your presentation from. So that if I were to say, or if I'm telling you that there are more than 12 million undocumented immigrants in this country, then how do I know that? Where does the information come from? How would I know that that's the actual truth? However, if I said, according to Ted Conover, in his book Coyotes, he reports that there's actually 12.5 million undocumented immigrants that come from Mexico, and Mexico alone, every year. So basically, if you think about it, I gave you the information as to who the author is, what the book is, so basically where the information comes from. You have to quote 3 different sources, and you can quote a book, a magazine, a newspaper, an interview. Whatever you do not quote Wikipedia. It's not the best resource for when you're trying to create credibility with the audience. Those 3 sources, you also have to write down on a works cited, and you're supposed to send it to me along with your link for your presentation. Your presentation is due on the 13th of July, so please do not miss that deadline. You have to comply with the dress code, and for dress code, all I'm asking for is that you dress conservatively. Business casual works best, and let's just leave it to that. If you, it's okay to dress for the occasion, but to keep it safe, just dress conservatively and dress for business casual. So then, let me review the requirements, because the last one, by the way, is that you're not supposed to read. reading your presentation will just destroy your grade. So let me go over the requirements, and that is you cannot begin by saying the topic of my speech. You cannot say that's it in the end. You have to have 2 visual aids, 5 to 7 minutes. You have to quote 3 sources. You have to provide a works cited. You have to provide eye contact, no reading is allowed. You have to send me your outline and dress code. So, and these requirements are actually on the PowerPoint that I made available through the Canvas system. So please go over it and review it. When selecting a topic for this round and any rounds during this class, the key to success is to choose a subject that you are very passionate about, that you like very much. Whatever you do, stay away from controversial subjects like religion. Anything that has to do with it is not necessarily a good subject, not for this class anyway. Abortion, how to commit suicide, not good. I know it sounds goofy, but I have actually students that have done presentations on the death penalty or on euthanasia or the right to die with dignity. And so it's not that any of the subjects are not good for presentations. It's just that for the purpose of what we're trying to reach for this class, those are not subjects that you want to talk about. Instead, talk about anything that you find fascinating and something that you are very excited about. Remember that the presentation is not persuasive, it's informative. And last but not least, just to give you a quick example of what are some items that you could potentially talk about, because it's an informative speech, you could talk about how to describe something, how to explain how something works or how something is done. I could do a presentation about the Eiffel Tower or the history of it. I could do a presentation about a famous athlete. I could do a presentation about a book that I once read. I could do a presentation about a hobby that I have. I could do a presentation about a process of some sort. If you're having trouble finding a subject, you're welcome to email me. Whatever you do, remember that this is an informative speech, not a persuasive speech. There are 9 requirements, and I'm looking forward to seeing your presentation. So work on it early so that you don't run out of time. Your presentation is due on the 13th of this month. So with that in mind, I will see you soon.